Hello, I am Alex Cooper. I am the Geospatial Research Analyst at Childcare Aware of America. And folks at the State Office of New Hampshire and Childcare Aware of New Hampshire contracted CCAoA in late 2021 to do a quick project trying to describe the landscape of family childcare in New Hampshire. We tackled the mapping portion of that and generated a living document that the state could update on a rolling basis to talk about family childcare. As a part of this effort, we created this map dashboard, and this is a demo video of how you might use this map effectively. And the first, this may look a bit intimidating. There are a lot of buttons, but this will tell you exactly how to use it. You can tell what data layers are instantly visible through the legend. This is your legend right here, and so you can see that the initial pop-up has family childcare providers and the counties on it. Now you can turn on and off all of the layers in this GIS map through the table of contents, your layer list right here. So, for example, we can turn on the family poverty layer. Go down here to family poverty, you click it, and it turns on this layer. Now, if you can't recall what the symbology, what all these colors mean, you can simply go back to the legend, and it'll tell you. The darker the red, the higher percent of families with children living below this level of the federal poverty level is. With some of these layers, you can always turn off the provider layer here at the top so you can get a better idea of what is underneath. With any of these layers, you can always click directly on the features on the map to see more information about them. For instance, this census tract has 37 families with children under 5 who are living below 185% of the federal poverty level. And this tract is in Carroll County. So these pop ups will give you extra information about the features that you're interacting with. Beyond this, you can also move around this map and explore it just like you might with, say, Google Maps. You just click down on the screen and hold it with your mouse or trackpad and pan around. And you can also zoom in and out by using these plus and minus buttons, or use the scrolling wheel on your mouse. So you can zoom in that way, and the features will refresh. You can pan, and you can zoom back out. Now, if you ever, let's say you get really lost with some of this, if you ever can't find your way back to New Hampshire, all you have to do is click this home button right here, and it'll send you exactly back to where you were used to. So these seem decently basic, but they're very powerful when using this dashboard that we constructed in trying to advance the mission of family childcare providers in New Hampshire. So let's check out an example in the dashboard of how we might do this. Now, this example will only be using some of the layers that we constructed for this dashboard. You can see all of the layers here and explore this dashboard at will. But in this project, during this process, our state partners requested especially a view of the supply and demand gaps across New Hampshire. With data about the location and capacity of family child care providers and all other types of licensed care in the state, we used a revised version of CCAoA's Mapping the Gap methodology to provide this. So, let's say you wanted to see what areas have some of the most prominent gaps in childcare coverage. We're going to want to turn all of these layers off so we can start fresh. Quick tip, there's actually a little handy button right here. If you click, you can turn all of the layers off, just like that. And then you have a blank map. And we're going to turn on our county layer here at the very bottom for reference. And we're going to turn on the, the census tract mapping the gap layer right here. So what you're seeing here is our supply and demand gap layer at the census tract unit of analysis. Census tracts are just areas that the United States Census calculates demographic statistics at, and they usually have a population of approximately 4,000 people, but it can vary from anywhere from 2,000 to 8,000 people. These are community level areas, and we're looking at that right now. But what do these colors mean? We can check the legend. Aha! And this lets me know that the more purple the county, the greater the gap between childcare supply and demand is. If you notice, there's a dark cluster of purple tracks in the southwest corner of Cheshire County that's really catching my eye. If I look at this, that's kind of the biggest cluster. So I'm wondering if that county overall has a relatively large gap. So what we can do to look for this is we use our table of contents and turn off a census tract layer, and let's look at this county layer right here that's also derived from mapping the gap. So it looks to me like Cheshire County has a relatively large gap because it has a pretty dark blue. Let's make sure we're right about that. All right, yeah, the legend tells me that the gap is over 40% because it's the very darkest blue possible. And once again, we can use our mouse to click on the features to see more about them. And so from the pop-up, I can tell that there are 1,384 out of 3,070 children potentially needing childcare who are estimated to be unserved in this county. So that's about a 45% gap. These are approximations and estimations, but we've tried to do this with robust methodological methods. Now, I wonder what the situation on the ground looks like in those areas of the county with a particularly high gap that we just looked at. So let's try to take a look at some of those. I'm going to turn off the county layer and turn back on our census tract layer that we just saw. Now, I could just zoom in using my mouse or the plus or minus button, but here's another handy trick that you may want to use in your area of New Hampshire. This, in the top right hand corner right here, is a search bar, and you can type your city, county, town, what have you, in this search bar, and it will zoom right in for you to the area that you're hoping to examine. So I want to see what communities may have been dealing with regards to access and how family childcare providers play into that in Cheshire County. So let's see family childcare providers that might be around here. Again, table of contents. And let's flip on those family childcare provider layers. So given that the overall supply and demand gap shown here that takes both centers and family homes into account is high, we can see that from the purple, there are unsurprisingly few family childcare providers around. And it looks like there are only 3 providers specifically in this high gap area. So let's see more information about them. Let's see what we can find out. So this family group home, we can see that from the pop-up. It serves about 17 children close to the town of Keene. And both of these family homes serve a maximum of 9 children at a time. We can see more attributes about them in the pop-up too, actually, if we really want to know more about the services that they offer. We can see, for instance, their opening times, their ages served, and whether or not they accept scholarships. Now, if you've noticed so far, there are additional dashboard tools on the left side of the screen that I've mostly been ignoring so far. So before we go, quickly, we should explore some of those. Basically, these tools are designed so we don't have to click on each provider to explore their attributes. If we want to look at multiple providers at a time, we can use the filters on the far left side of the dashboard instead to help us query the data automatically to tailor it to our questions. And you see these numbers in the middle of the dashboard. Those are helpful summary statistics about the providers that we're looking at. But right now, we're seeing providers from all across New Hampshire. And we're looking specifically at Cheshire County. So let's try to focus on just those providers. We've got this county filter right here, and we can go down. You see all the counties in the state. Let's only choose Cheshire County. And you can see all of these statistics update to reflect our filters on the far left, in this case, just Cheshire County. Let's think a little bit more about the supply and demand gap. We saw earlier that the total potential demand for childcare in Cheshire County was about 3,000 kids. We can obviously see in the dashboard that the total licensed capacity for family childcare is 93. Now, obviously, family childcare providers alone cannot bridge that gap. However, they are an important component of the mosaic construction of childcare in this county in order to do so. Perks of family homes that distinguish them and attract parents are their smaller size and their lower teacher to student ratios. And research has argued that for the important role family childcare providers play in providing care to rural areas. And we can see here that the green areas on this map of Cheshire County make up the majority of the space. Family child care providers are thus particularly critical in any sort of strategy to bridge childcare gaps in Cheshire County. Let's look at the relative gap. We see the darker blue indicates a higher share of estimated unserved children potentially needing care. And it still looks like that the southernmost part of the county has the greatest need for focus. Undoubtedly, the home based providers in this space are providing a valuable service to these communities in more need of care capacity. License capacity, however, alone does not fully tell the story of access. Many variables influence how parents may or may not be seen to access care. This is where we can utilize those filters some more. For instance, the New Hampshire Scholarship Subsidy Program provides critical cost assistance to low income families. And cost is an important factor in determining families' access to care. So we can see by using this additional filter that a slim majority of providers in the county, 5 out of the 8, accept scholarships, further helping to make care accessible to Cheshire County families. Now, to turn off a filter, you can press the green button to simply toggle it off. The whole county statistics are now showing again. Providers' hours of operation are also critical to determining access for parents. We can scroll down here to see the non-standard hours filter. Family homes offering care outside of the standard hours of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays offer flexibility for parents who work second shifts in non-traditional schedules who would otherwise not have access to care for their young children while they're working. We see by using the filter that a minority of providers, 3 out of the 8 in the county, offer non-standard hours of care. And more importantly, only one offers care consistently throughout the week for non-standard hours. This this family childcare home we can see through the pop-up offers 60 hours of care per week, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every weekday. Expanding not only the number of family homes but also the hours they're open can help make care more accessible to all New Hampshire families. And we can always turn off and on all the filters to get them to reset. Or if you get really tangled, you can completely reset all of the filters with this button and it resets everything. And if you ever get confused on how to use this map, just look at this I button. It's got more information about all of the buttons. And if you ever get tangled up, you can always refresh your browser. But feel free to play around. You're not going to break anything. Turn on and off all of these layers of the map. You should be able to use it as a research and advocacy tool for childcare in New Hampshire. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email us at CCAoA at research at USA dot, all one word, childcareaware.org. And either I, Alex Cooper, or Jasmine Springfield will be happy to help you. Really appreciate your time, and I hope this is a valuable resource for you.